our reading of St. Gregory Palamas' homily on the Dormition of the Mother of God. It's titled, "On the Most Venerable Dormition of Our Exceeding Pure Lady, the Mother of God and Ever Virgin Mary." Today she has moved from earth to heaven, and now heaven too has a fitting dwelling place, a palace to meet her. She has stood on the right hand of the King of all, clothed in vesture wrought with gold and arrayed in diverse colors, as the psalmist and the prophet says of her in Psalm 45. And you should take this garment interwoven with gold to mean her divinely radiant body adorned with every type of virtue. For at present she is the only one who has a place in heaven with her divinely glorified body in the company of her Son. Earth, the grave, and death could not ultimately detain her life-giving body, which has held God and been more devoted habitation for him than heaven and the heaven of heavens. For if a soul which has the grace of God dwelling within it grows up to heaven when released from this world, as we believe and is evident on many accounts, how can that body, which not only received within it the pre-eternal only begotten Son of God, the ever-flowing fount of grace, but was also plainly seen to bear him, fail to be taken up from earth to heaven? Could she who, when only 3 years old, before the heavenly child had dwelt within her and been clothed by her in flesh, lived in the Holy of Holies, and who became excellent and truly heavenly even in her body through many great works, afterwards become earth subject to corruption? How could this seem reasonable to people who take a rational view? It was right, therefore, that the body which brought forth the Son should be glorified with him in divine glory, and that the ark of Christ's holiness should arise within him, who arose on the third day, as the prophet sang. The linen cloths and the winding sheets left behind in the tomb, which were all that those who came to look for her found there, proved to the disciples that she too had risen from the dead. Just as was earlier the case with her Son and Lord. It was not, however, necessary for her, as it was for her Son and God, to stay for a while longer on earth, so she was taken up directly from the grave to the heavenly realm, whence she sends bright shafts of holy light and grace down to earth, illuminating all the space around the world, and is venerated, admired, and hymned by all the faithful. It is as though God wanted to set up an icon of everything good, and in doing so, to display his own image clearly to angels and men. And thus he made her so truly beautiful, bringing together all the various means he had used to adorn all creation. He made her a world of everything good, both visible and invisible. Or rather, he revealed her as the synthesis of divine, angelic, and human loveliness, a nobler beauty to embellish both worlds, originating from the earth, but reaching up through her ascension now from the tomb to heaven, to the heavens and beyond. She united things below with things above, and embraces the whole of creation with the wonders surrounding her. The fact that she tasted death, which, as I mentioned in the beginning, meant that she was a little lower than the angels, increases the universal excellence of the Mother of God. That is why all things rightly join together to rejoice at the celebration of today's event. It is fitting that she, who held him, who fills all things and is above all things, should herself outstrip all and become higher than all in her virtues and great honor. She embraces in their entirety the virtues which, distributed among the noblest of every age, were sufficient to make them great, and the various graces which the angels and men have individually been favored by God, and perfects them all in herself alone with inexpressible excellence. Also, she is superior to everyone in that after death she became immortal, and she alone lives in her body with her Son and God in heaven. Thence she pours down abundant grace on those who honor her and bestows on them the possibility of reaching up to her, the receptacle of such great graces, who lavishes the highest benefits upon us in her goodness and never ceases to yield a rich harvest and plentiful gifts for us. Anyone observing her and generosity in everything good would say that for those who live virtuously, the Virgin radiates virtue as the sun radiates visible sun light for those dwelling below. But were you to shift your mental gaze to the Son, who marvelously shone forth to mankind from her, and who possesses by his very nature everything bestowed on her by grace, and far more besides, then the Virgin would immediately seem like heaven to you. Having a far more abundant share in God's goodness than all other recipients of his grace in heaven or below, she is as much greater than them as the heavens are greater than the sun, though the sun is brighter. What words can describe your heavenly radiant beauty, O Virgin Mother of God? We cannot circumscribe you in our words and thoughts, for everything about you surpasses our speech and understanding. But with your loving permission, we may sing your praises. In you all graces find a place. You are the fullness of everything noble and good, a living picture and icon of all goodness and kindness, for you alone were found worthy of the gifts of the Spirit in their entirety, or rather, you alone have mysteriously dwelling in your womb him whom all these gifts are stored. In a way past understanding, you became his tabernacle, and now through death you proceed hence to immortality and are fittingly translated from earth to heaven to live with him forever in the heavenly tabernacles. From there you care for your inheritance, and by your unsleeping intercessions you reconcile us to your Son. The Mother of God is so much closer to God than others who draw near to him that she is able to intercede more powerfully than any of them. And by this I mean not just human beings, but even all the ranks of angels. Isaiah writes of the highest order of angels in heaven, and the seraphim stood round about him. Whereas David says of the Mother of God, upon thy right hand did stand the Queen. Do you notice the difference in their standing? You can also see from this difference in honor between the seraphim's rank and hers, for the seraphim are round about God, but only the Queen of all stands beside him. She is admired and praised by God as though he were extolling her to the powers around him in the words used in the Song of Songs, how beautiful is my companion. She is more brilliant than light, she blossoms more beautifully than the gardens of divine paradise, and she is more delightfully adorned than the visible and invisible worlds. It is fitting that she stands not just beside God, but on his right hand. For where Christ sat in heaven, namely on the right hand of the Majesty, there she now stands, having ascended from earth to heaven. Nor is this solely because no one longs for Christ as she does, and no one is so longed for in return, which would be in accordance with the laws of nature, but because she is truly his throne, and where the king sits, there stands the throne. Isaiah saw this throne in the midst of the choir of the cherubim, and described it as high and lifted up, thus indicating that the Mother of God had risen higher than the heavenly powers. For that reason, he refers to the angels themselves glorifying God for her and saying, "Blessed be the glory of the Lord from this place." The patriarch Jacob, seeing obscure glimpses of this throne, said, "How dreadful is this place! This is none other than the house of God. This is the gate of heaven." Elsewhere, David, uniting in himself all the multitude of the saved, and using as different strings or notes all those brought together from diverse races into one faith by the ever Virgin, plays a most harmonious song to her with the words, I will make thy name to be remembered in all generations. Therefore shall the people praise thee forever and ever. Psalm 45. Notice how all creation praises the Virgin Mother, not just in past times, but forever, even forever and ever. From this we can see that she will never cease doing good to the whole of creation, not just to the human race, but also to the immaterial, supernatural hosts of angels. The fact that they, like us, partake of and touch the intangible divine nature only through her is clearly shown by the prophet Isaiah. For he did not see the seraphim taking the live coal directly off the altar, but picking it up with tongs, which he used also to touch his prophetic lips to purify them. This vision of the tongs is the same as the vision which Moses saw of the burning bush with fire but not consumed. Is there anyone who is unaware that the Virgin Mother is both that bush and those tongs which held the divine fire without being burned? Or was it not to this very mystery that the archangel ministered at her conception, which united her, the one who takes away the sin of the world, with the race of men, and which through this indescribable union has thoroughly cleansed us? She alone stands at the border between created and uncreated nature, and no one can come to God unless he is truly illumined by her, the true lamp of divine radiance. For God is in the midst of her, says the scripture. She shall not be moved. Psalm 46:5. God requites us according to the measure of our love for him. And he who loves the Son is loved by him and by his Father, and becomes a place for them both to dwell secretly, living within him and going about with him, as the Lord promised in John chapter 4. But who could love the Son more than his mother, who did not bear him as her only child, but gave birth alone to him without a husband, such that her parental love was twice as strong, since it was not shared with a spouse? Or who could be more loved by the only begotten Son than his mother, especially as he came forth inevitably from her alone in the last times, as he had come forth from the Father alone before time began? How could he who came down to fulfill the law fail to increase many times over, in addition to the loving disposition expected of a son, the honor due his mother under the law? Just as it was only through her that the Son came to us, was seen on earth, and lived among men, after previously being invisible to all, so now on for the endless eternity all progress toward the manifestation of divine light. Every revelation of divine mysteries and all forms of spiritual gifts are beyond everyone's grasp without her. She was the first to receive the all-pervading fullness of him who fills all things, and she brought him within reach of all, distributing to each as he is able to receive in proportion to the measure of his purity, such that she is both the treasure house and the mistress of God's riches. It is an eternal custom in heaven that those who are lesser should participate through those who are greater in what lies beyond existence, and the Virgin Mother is incomparably greater than all. So as many as will share in God will do so through her. All those who know God will know her as the one who holds him whom nothing can contain, and all who sing God's praises will hymn her after God. She is the cause of what preceded her, the protectress of what comes after her, and she procures eternity. She is the prophet's theme, the apostle's starting point, the martyr's mainstay, and the teacher's foundation. Of all those on earth, she is the glory of those in heaven, the delight, the adornment of all creation, source, fount, and root of all ineffable good, and she is the crown and the perfection of all the saints. O holy and now heavenly Virgin, how can I fully describe you? How can I glorify the treasure house of glory? Just the remembrance of you brings hallowing. Simply turning towards you makes our mind more lucid and takes it straight up to the divine heights. Through you, the eyes of our understanding is sharpened. Through your Spirit is enlightened by the coming of the divine Spirit. You have become the treasurer of graces and their store, not so you might keep them for yourself, but that you might fill the universe with grace. For the trustee of inexhaustible treasures sees to their distribution. Why would never dwindling wealth be locked away? Therefore, O Lady, generously share your mercy and your graces with all your people, your inheritance. Rescue us from the terrors that encompass us. See how many dangers of all kinds afflict us, from our own people and from strangers, from within and without. Through your power, turn everything for the best. Bring mutual calm between fellow citizens at home, and drive away those who attack like wild beasts from outside. Bestow your aid and healing on us to counteract our passions, and give our souls and bodies abundant grace sufficient for every need. And if we are unable to contain it, increase our capacity and give us more, that saved and strengthened by your grace, we may glorify the pre-eternal Word who took flesh from you for our sake, together with his Father, without beginning, and the life-giving Spirit, now and ever, and to the unending ages. Amen. Glory to Jesus Christ.
Glory to God.